going to in person. We're still waiting for the exact date, but there's been some through municipal association and whatnot, because the emergency order may be going away, I guess, mid-month.
Next week.
Yeah, mid-month. So, yeah. Actually, yeah. What did we say? What is it? The 11th?
The first.
Yes.
Coming up quick. All right, well, we'll get started here. Welcome everyone. As chair of the Barrington Planning Board, due to the COVID-19 coronavirus crisis and in accordance with Governor Sununu's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there are no physical locations to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we're utilizing Microsoft Teams for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through Microsoft Teams, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in the meeting through dialing 664-0240 or the conference ID for the team meeting. We'll start tonight's meeting with a roll call vote. My name is James Jennison, and I am present. Jeff Brand.
Present.
Steve Diamond.
Present.
Andy Knapp.
Present.
Ron Allard. Absent tonight. Candace Kranz.
Present.
Buddy Hackett.
Present.
Donna Masucci
Present.
is present. And Andrew Melnikas.
Present.
As we have one absent person, who shall we sit as the other member? Is there a, Marcia, is there a?
Usually you take turns.
Okay.
It should be Donna, because I think Andy did the last one.
Yeah, I did,
Okay.
so that's fine.
All right. So we will see Donna Masucci as a voting member, and Andy M will be an alternate tonight. We also have in attendance the town planner, Marcia Gassis, and the land use administrative assistant, Barbara Irvine. We'll move the minutes to the end so we can get to the first action item.
Jamie?
Um,
Jamie?
yes.
Andy has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, Jamie. I just wanted to let you know you're going to need both people because being I'm a representative of the town for the select board, I will be abstaining from the first action item.
All right.
That should actually then, if he's acting as a selectman, recusing himself, then no one
Oh,
should.
we can't, because he's a selectman.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
May I suggest that people that aren't speaking, that you mute your mic because we're getting a lot of garbled noise in the background?
All right. Thank you very much. And then also just to follow up with Marcia, that prepare, we may be going back in person soon. So we'll get to join each other in company again, hopefully. For the next meeting, possibly. So first action item, we have 223-24 and 26RC-20. Applicant conditional approval. I don't know yet. Amend previous conditional approval from 55 residential lot and 5 commercial lots to 58 residential lots. That's all I got. What are they here for?
They're for an extension.
Extension.
Oh, the extension. Okay.
Yes.
There we go. All right. And who do we have for that tonight?
Joe Falzoni, I'm here.
Hi, Joe.
How are you?
Very good. And yourself?
Good. So, as you know, from the virus, the state shut down with everyone working from home. DOT has kept in communication with the town regarding our DOT permit. And we have our state wetlands permit. DOT is 75% complete. The next to the final set of plans went in on Friday. So we're expecting, by midsummer to have that. And then, of course, we can't file for AOT until we get DOT. And then once we get AOT, we have to file for state subdivision. So they're just way behind. And the only reason why we're not up and running is because we don't have the state permits.
Unfortunately, it makes sense, but where we are in this world right now, everybody's behind and understaffed. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Falzoni?
I got one for Marcia. So he's asking for a 6-month extension. We can go up to a year, can't we?
Yeah, they're your rules. By all means, if you want to put it out a year.
Joe, I guess, it's with everything that's going on and the unpredictability of restarts, do you think 6 months is enough?
I think it's questionable, and I agree. I prefer a year.
Let's do that to save you a trip. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Not quite so fast. So, Mr. Falzoni, you've done a number of projects like this, right? You've done another one in Barrington. How many of these projects have you done total, similar to this?
In this town, or
In general?
a dozen, 15?
And I know you've brought in attorneys to deal with some of the more tricky technical matters. I noticed
Yes.
from the, let me just read quickly from the notice of decision that occurred. It says here, please note, if all the conditions precedent are not met within 6 calendar months to the day by May 3rd, 2021, the board's approval will be considered to have lapsed unless a mutually agreed extension has been granted by the board. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I filed that extension in time.
Oh, okay. Well, that's different. Okay, so the extension was filed. We just didn't have time to talk about it until now. That's your point?
Correct.
Oh, okay. No problem. Much better. Great.
All right.
Oh, and
So-
I also, can I just mention, our office was, if anyone's looking at the date, they submitted what they needed to. Our office was shut down due to COVID, so that's part of their delay.
All right. So do we have, we're going for a 12-month extension. And we'll let you fill in the date, Marcia. Will that be from the May 3rd notice of decision? So we'll just go May 3rd, 2022,
May 3rd,
correct?
22.
So a motion would be in order.
All right, I make a motion to extend approval for application 223-24 and 26-RC-20 for 12 months to May 3rd, 2022.
I second that.
Motion by Jeff Brand, second by Donna Masucci. Buddy Hackett,
Hackett, aye.
Candace Kranz,
Grant's eye.
Andy Knapp is abstained. Steve Diamond,
Diamond eye.
Donna Masucci,
Masucci, aye.
Jeff Brand,
Brand, aye.
Janice and I, all in favor. Motion granted. Best of luck, Mr. Falzoni. See you. Hopefully we won't have to see you again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I mean,
See ya.
thank you. All right.
We'd like to see some homes in New Town Hall. That's what we'd like to see.
Correct. All right, next up, 236-4 GR20 Sunset Rock LLC. Request by applicant, site review, increase their operation from 83 acres to 88 acres. Who do we have for that tonight?
Michael Wright with Respec Engineering.
Welcome.
Good evening. What I wanted to do tonight was just update you quickly on what's been going on. Fact that we've been working with Dover's town engineer, Emery and Garrett, on a few alternate designs. Two of them affect our drawings that we've submitted to the town, and two of them do not. Currently, Emery and Garrett is investigating the two that do not affect any of our drawings, but this requires them to go into Dover town files and look up a lot of their monitoring data for the past couple years to investigate what's been going on their side a little bit. So we hope to have an answer from them in the next couple weeks and then resubmit our drawings to you if they need to be updated a little, and finally get our AOT permit in. So I would ask for a continuation, and I would say the way everything's been, it's going to be at least 2 months. So 2 months and a certain amount of time, whenever your next meeting is, after whatever it would be, August 1st.
It would be,
August 3rd.
Oh, can we go a little bit further than that? August, is it?
We can
gonna
go
have
to,
September 7th, Masha, if we don't want 2 meetings.
we do September 7th work for you?
I think to be fully safe, that would be the best.
All right.
And then I don't have to keep coming in.
We prefer that as well, but we want to give everybody the opportunity to move things along expeditiously. So September 7th, does the board have any questions for Mr. Wright? Hearing none, a motion to continue to September 7th would be in order.
I make a motion to continue consideration of application 236-4-GR-20-SR to September 7th, 2021 at the applicant's request.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Jeff Brand, seconded by Andy Knapp. Donna Masucci,
Masucci, aye.
Buddy Hackett,
Hackett, aye.
Candace Kranz,
Krantz, aye.
Andy Knapp,
Aye.
Steve Diamond,
Aye.
Jeff Brand,
Moran, aye.
James Jennison, aye. Motion carries. Continue to September 7th.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Next up, we have 263-28. Owner John Chimberg requests applicant for site review,
Martha withdraws.
I got it.
and that is requesting a continuance as well. Do we have anyone here for that application?
So Jamie, this applicant has actually withdrawn their application.
Oh, that's too bad.
I know, I was disappointed also. It just was evidently a bit more than they had planned on, and they had some issues trying to get an extension for the real estate.
Oh, gotcha. It's a fairly reasonably priced piece of property if anyone wants to jump on it.
Other thing, Jamie, we had a request, and this is totally up to the board, if any of the fees could be reimbursed. They believe that they were going to go through the site review process and not need a variance or anything. And it turns out they were going to need a variance. So they just feel, I guess they feel a little misled maybe, but it's up to the board.
How much are the fees?
Well, my understanding, we cannot reimburse for, the posting in the paper or the abutter notifications. The only thing that I believe that would be refundable would be the $150 application fee.
But I am a little confused here. Why do they think that they were misled?
Well, originally John Huckins had he did not realize that the 75 feet applied to both 125 and what's the road?
Pierce.
Pierce, I always forget it, Pierce Road. When they had to apply that setback, then they required a variance. I mean, they required site plan review anyway, so I mean, it's entirely up to the board.
Yeah, I mean, they'd have to file the application to find out they needed a variance in the first place, correct? Kind of.
Well, they never filed for a variance. They only filed for site review. Whether they felt like that was one more step they didn't want to take, I don't want to speak for them.
Yeah.
I think it was more than they had anticipated I mean, they had to come for site review. It's a commercial lot.
Yeah. Well, there's many of us on the board. I let everybody have their say. I guess we can go down the list, in favor and not in favor, and I'll start. I say I guess I'm not in favor. It's kind of part of doing business. But Jeff, what's your opinion?
I'm inclined to say no, because I think that when someone puts in an application, you're right that they wouldn't know that they needed a variance if they had not submitted the application. And, everybody's supposed to read the regulations. We've been over that several times with applicants in the past, so.
Yeah, I mean, if we give back everybody's money who didn't get a successful approval, would kind of not be very. Steve, your opinion?
I appreciate the argument that perhaps our code enforcement officer may have made a slight mistake, but in general, I don't think reimbursing the money makes sense.
All right, Andy?
Nope. I don't know. I'll jump in.
What's that?
I said, I don't know which Andy, but I'll jump in.
All right.
No, I didn't support it.
Candace?
I'm not in support.
Pardon me?
Not in support of refunding.
Buddy?
Excuse me, I just had one question. Were they denied or did they withdraw their application?
We withdrew the application because they didn't want to spend additional money.
And talking about it's $125 or $150, something like that.
Correct.
Yeah, that I agree with the cost of doing business.
Donna?
It's part of the process. I would deny it.
And Andy M, just because this is an official vote, I'll take your opinion as well.
I would go with the majority, denied.
Right. So it seems like everybody's on the same page. Marcia, do we need an official vote on that?
No, I'll just let them know.
All right. Thank you so much. I don't know why I'm thanking you. I'm a little off tonight. Moving on to the next item, number 5, 23911 TC 21 sub Dave and Glenda Henderson, request by applicant for a 2-lot subdivision. And I believe Mr. Garvey is here for that.
I think I'm unmuted now.
Yes, you are.
Okay. So very quickly, I'll just do a quick review. Original subdivision was done in 2006 with approval from the ZBA to access the lot across the 40-foot access easement on the eastern edge of the property, which is still owned by the subdivider at that point in time. The wetlands and DOT permits were put in place for those wetlands crossings and for the driveway, currently in the process of being renewed. February 21, ZBA granted the right to subdivide the rear portion into 2 lots and gave the right to have homes instead of businesses on the lots to be created. March 21, application to subdivide came to the planning board. The lot is being subdivided according to the backlot subdivision, part of the ordinance, and meets all the criteria for subdivision. Conservation Commission weighed in with no issues and liked the plan to proceed. The surveyor has revised the plans. I believe has addressed all the issues. I think minus one, right, Marcia? It should be village district instead of town center for zoning. Is that correct?
Yeah, but I have quite a list of things that just need to be done on the plan. He didn't go down the checklist and do the items that have to be on the plan.
All right, well, if you give me the list, then I can make sure it gets done.
Yeah, it'll be part of the notice of decision, it's part of the draft.
Okay.
Fired.
Let's see. Note was added to the plan on the driveway grade. Erosion control notes were added. Legend update with the symbols and the setbacks and the paths noted. The driveway permit will likely be issued this week by DOT. I've worked with Jim Hewitt. As a part of that, reciprocal language, easement language has been included in the package for the board to review, which was asked for by the DOT as well. That will actually replace the previous driveway maintenance agreement that I had put in. The driveway easement is there to serve the back lot. The deeds show that the rear lot has the right to use the easement for access and as a drive. Does not specify the intensity of the use. The intensity of the use would go to the overburdening of the easement, which one additional home does not do. The intent, according to Mr. Henderson, who actually did the subdivision originally, the intent was to allow for a driveway, but not allow for a road in the future. And we are constructing a drive for two homes. So we also are meeting the fire chief's specifications as to that driveway. The actions of the ZBA and subsequently the planning board will supersede the note on the plan as to the single home. The grantor can also record a modification to the plan as well. And I believe that the abutters, Candace and I think it's Raymond, have concerns relative to excess traffic. There was a reference to Candace last time around with the previous time relative to 4 or 5 cars per household racing up and down the driveway. I did a little bit of research. The average house has 2 cars. Average household makes approximately 4 to 5 trips a day. And with 2 homes only on 30 acres, that's not a whole lot of trips. Additionally, I know they run a business, and actually for the first time I was out there this afternoon, and I've counted cars in the driveway a number of times on their property, which is usually 12 to 15. Today, I think there was 16. Really, which, again, great for them. I'm happy they're running a successful business. It's awesome. But, it's we're not going to create anywhere near that amount of traffic. They're a business, they're commercial, they're creating traffic, and that's good for them. In the end, I think the plan meets the zoning. Marcia, you can, any kind of issues with the plan and notes that need to be completed, we can complete those. But it meets all the fire chief's requirements, meets the Conservation Commission needs, and hopefully you'll see fit to approve it tonight.
Thank you for that update. Does the board have questions?
Yes, so it's my understanding that the backlot subdivision process allows you to make 1 additional lot. It looks like there's several. Can you spell that out for me?
There's 1 additional lot. So there is currently a lot that consists of, I think it's 28.9 acres. That lot is being subdivided into 2 lots.
I guess my point is, if I look at the bottom of your plan, dated, well, let's see, 1/6, I think this is the current one. I see 1, 2, 3, it looks like 1, 2, 3 new lots, each with their own separate driveways, for the most part.
No, so that was the to create the back lot originally, Steve. They created that, if you're looking at that plan, that L15, L14, L13, if we're looking at the same thing, but it's through wetlands. So it gave them the frontage to create the lot, but then they also gave the easement to come on the right-hand side of the property to access the lot. So it's got the frontage necessary on the left side, that's wetlands, and an easement to access on the right-hand side of the lot. And it was only one original lot back there, but then ZBA gave them the second lot. And so that's what we are today. That answer that question, hopefully.
That does help, yes. So it seems like there's going to be driveways, several driveways that are right next to each other somewhat redundantly. Wouldn't it be more efficient and potentially safer if the resources were pooled into one driveway that was more robustly built and maintained?
There's actually only one driveway, and that driveway is on that 40-foot easement on the right-hand side. There is no driveway on the actual frontage of the two lots.
The one in the middle is the Bellavizio Spa that's existing. And
Yeah,
and
what you see down the
which-
left-hand of the lot where the spot is, if you go over to the left-hand side there, those aren't driveways that are going up through there. And it had to be split evenly for the frontage on Route 9. The only driveway to be added is way over on the right property line on that easement.
That's correct.
which comes off, if you can visualize, remember the big old tree they took down for the bank that's not going in, that half round driveway, that easement was given off that half round. So if you can picture where that half round driveway in the old house used to be, that's where that's located, right at the corner of that left-hand side of the half round.
Okay, so if I understand correctly now, the convoluted nature of this new lot is based on each lot needing to have a tiny bit of frontage on 9? On Route 9?
That's correct.
Yeah.
But because of the wetlands involved, in order to preclude having to go and put driveways into those extensions coming out on the 9 that give them the frontage, they got an easement on the other side of the front lot 1 so that they can build the driveway up through there and not have to impact the wetlands.
As much. It's just a small wetland crossing in there, it looks like.
Right. Much less significant impact.
It's around 1,000 square feet.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and again, this was originally subdivided. The owner owned the entire thing. And when it was subdivided, he created that easement so that there was no impact to the wetlands. And the Conservation Commission, when we went out there, actually thought it was phenomenal that that's where it was going to go. So.
All right, any other questions? All right, hearing none, I can read the draft notice decision.
Public comment.
Oh, thank you. It's not on my little blue sheet, Barbara. I don't say it. If I'll take the opportunity to open up public comment. If there's anyone that would have questions, comments, concerns, I will.
Hi there. This is
Hello.
Candace Harvey.
Hi, Candace.
How you doing?
Good.
That's good. I'm going to actually, in an effort to make it sound more professional and more educated, I'm going to have Raymond speak for me. Raymond Estes.
Okay.
Thank you so much. This is Raymond.
How are you tonight?
Hello, Ray. Good. Yourself?
Not too bad. So when we purchased the property, it was very clear that there would only be one lot behind us, and there would only be traffic for one potential home that was ever to be built out there. That is all stated on the plans that was approved by the town, with those exceptions listed on that plan. And we're against it. Anything more going than the original intent of the subdivision.
Okay, thank you. Ray, did you have the opportunity to go to the ZBA when they were going for the variance? I was just curious.
We were in 2 of the meetings. We were on vacation and could not access the last meeting that was approved. So we tried to get into the meeting and it kept booting us out.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. All right, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I guess that's it. I'm just gonna go with what's in writing.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Andy, you've got your hand up.
Yep, I just have a comment on it, and this is my take. I had asked stopped by today to ask Marcia some questions about the legal letter that came in from planning. My general take on this is, if the ZBA made a mistake, then my position is I will not uphold their mistake for them issuing it, but because I don't think it's reasonable for us to create it to trying to follow the letter of the rules to prevent a possible legal action, because potentially someone made a mistake in a decision. I will not enforce that and hold to that. I'll deal with the fact that if somebody wants to come back and sue the town, so be it.
Well, I guess I got a comment on that, and I also have a question for the Harveys and Garvey. But there is a process that if the ZBA makes a decision to appeal that decision. So I guess I would ask Candace and Dave, when that decision was made, did you appeal that decision?
Candace Harvey here. I will tell you, we weren't aware of the decision until after we were given notification for our second meeting. So I wasn't aware of the decision in time to appeal it, sir.
Thank you.
Marcia, is there a time to frame to appeal decisions of the ZBA?
30 days.
And in the process of approval, did they notify abutters that it's been approved?
No.
Not each individual abutter, no. No.
So that means none of the abutters.
The public hearing was held, the decision was made at the public hearing. There is responsibility of those that feel they have an interest in it to follow through. The notices are uploaded to the website and available. That being said, I think we've got opinion regarding the town's attorney on this. I would not even say that the ZBA, as much as I may agree or disagree with their decision, made a mistake. I mean, that's not my role. But there is a process going forward. If there was an appeal by the abutter at this point, there would be a process for them to appeal. Either,
Yeah, the reason for my line of questioning is to avoid a costly lawsuit as opposed to an appeals, a less costly appeals process, had time permitted, but I being of the mindset that it's our responsibility to be ahead of that stuff, unfortunately.
Well, I think, it's the same type of process that exists for this board. If we make a decision, somebody has 30 days to appeal that decision. So, I'm sympathetic and understanding of what the abutters are saying, but at the same time, we have a process that's actually a common process for decision-making and an appeal of those decisions. And I've said it many times, the board is bound by the rules. That's what the state law says. So I think that in considering all this, we have to follow the rules.
I don't recall seeing the communication from the town attorney. Could someone give me the nutshell version of what the town attorney had to say about this?
Does someone want to attempt to summarize? My summarization may not be accurate, but it's basically that the way they're trying to transfer rights of the easement isn't necessarily allowed, and it would be the if they wanted to contest it, the Harveys could contest it, or is that right, Marcia? Marcia, you do a much better job.
Well,
Sorry, I might have muddled the waters already.
in a nutshell, it comes down to property rights issue. Easements are, the appeal is, it's not an, it's a personal property rights issue between the two property owners and not the town of Barrington. And I've been told 3 times it is not a town of Barrington issue. It's the personal property rights of the abutting people, the Harveys, and the property owner, Mr. Henderson.
I certainly see that, Marcia, and so that technically is not the town or the planning board's issue. Here's the fly in the ointment: is we're going to approve this on the basis that that easement can be used to both back lots. If in fact there was some legal action and that easement was unable to be utilized for both lots, that would mean they'd have to have a different access to the property through the wetlands, wherever, through the property they will actually have frontage on. And
they would need to come back to the planning board.
Okay.
If they no longer have access, they would need to come back to the planning board.
So now we're taking a property that's already, that is through the ZBA process has been, that has been made, I guess for lack of better terms, non-conforming, and potentially will be trying to make it whole by making it more non-conforming.
We are bound by the zoning board approval.
Don't we also have a responsibility to assess whether these easements are legitimately held and can be used for the purpose that they're being asked to be used for?
We are not doing, we're not attorneys. We've consulted our attorney actually 3 times. And we've come back with the same answer. These are private property right issues in the town of Barrington.
And Steve, specifically to your point, I may be wrong, but I don't recall anything in our regulations that stipulate that, the board is supposed to assess the viability of one of these.
I don't struggle with
Really? Yeah. Mr. Garvey has wants to add.
Mr. Chairman, again, the town attorney has an opinion. Our attorney has an opinion. And the opinion of our attorney is, shall we say, a little different than the town's attorney. And we believe that we are proceeding properly according to private property rights.
Sure, yep, fair enough. All right, if there's.
Did Mr. Garvey have, I thought he had another question.
Oh, did I cut you off? I apologize.
No, that was it.
All right.
Okay.
Thank
If we have, we're gonna, if there's no more public comments, we'll close the public comment portion.
Yeah, one more thing.
Sure.
My attorney has looked at that, and once again, he has stated that it is very clear in the deed and in the approved plans exactly what the intent of that easement was for, and it was not for 2 house lots, specifically written in them words on the plan. So I understand your positions, and we will pursue it further if need be. We were hoping not to have to do that. And we weren't aware that we could appeal the other decision, or we absolutely 100% would have appealed it, and we will appeal any decision made tonight if it is the wrong one as far as we're concerned.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. I appreciate that. Yeah. I think unfortunately we're like, Jeff Brand said earlier, we're really not bound by easement language to make our decisions based on that. That's again, property rights issues, and between landowners, we have to kind of go based on the other information. So, you know, your action.
And I'll just point out that, like I said, I'm sympathetic. However, we are bound by our regulations. And if we were to make any decision based on any other factor than those regulations, and we don't make a decision based on that, then that is instantly appealable, and the board would be overturned because the state requires we follow our regulations. So as long as the applicant meets all of our requirements, then frankly, we're bound to approve an application. If we could point to a specific regulation or requirement that they do not meet, well, then we can go ahead and we can disapprove it. But if they meet all of the requirements, and we're bound to approve an application.
All right. So at this time, we'll close public comment and move back to the board specific questions. If there's any more before I read the draft notice of decision.
So while we don't necessarily have the responsibility to get to the bottom of who has what rights regarding easements here, it's clearly come before us that there is some question about the legitimacy of these easements. And if there's a problem with those easements, the way to solve it would be very problematic, which would be a much bigger wetland impact. So to me, I would think that needs to be untangled first. And as a side note, having these kind of convoluted lots to manufacture a tiny little bit of frontage seems a little disingenuous to me. I would rather have lots that are less convoluted.
And I'm sure others would agree with you, but those lots were created prior to us. This isn't something we created. So those are lots of record, or it was a lot of record rather, and the ZBA granted approval, so we're bound by that. And if we can point to some zoning or RSA that says that we can not approve based on easement language, then we can go down that road. But barring that, I really don't think we can. We have to proceed with what we have in front of us, the application, and I don't see as though they're asking for any waivers. So we're really kind of you know, presented with a case that's seems approvable. Let's show something specific you can point to. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, I will read the draft notice decision and we can go from there. Dear applicant, this is to inform you that the Barrington Planning Board has conditionally approved your application. All of the precedent conditions below must be met by the applicant at the expense of the applicant prior to the plans being certified by the planning board. Certification of the plans is required prior to the commencement of any site work or recording of any plans. Once these precedent conditions are met and the plans are certified, the approval is considered final. Please note if all the precedent conditions are not met within 6 calendar months to the day, the board's approval will be considered to have lapsed unless a mutually agreed upon extension has been granted by the board. Reference 8.2.3 of the Town of Barrington subdivision regulations. Precedent conditions. 1. Add the owner's signature to the final plan. Add the wetland scientist stamp and signature to the final plan. Add note on which plans are to be recorded and which one filed with the town. At least one benchmark per sheet. Add the following, quotes, required erosion control measures shall be installed prior to any disturbance of the site's surface and shall be maintained to the completion of construction activities. If during construction it becomes apparent that additional erosion control measures are required to stop erosion on the construction site due to the actual site conditions, the owner shall be required to install the necessary protection at no cost to the town, end of quote. List FEMA sheet used to identify a 100-year flood elevation, add purpose of plan, revise spacing of monumentation to no greater than 300 feet, add location of proposed wells, show proposed access easements by meets and bounds, add the New Hampshire DOT updated driveway permit number to the plan, add proposed lot numbers assigned by the assessor, add wetland scientist stamp and signature to the final plan, add the New Hampshire DES permit number to the plan, add the purpose of the plan. And as built, there's a duplicate, but that's okay. We can do it twice. Add an as built for the driveway must be provided by an engineer that shows the driveway meets the 10% maximum grade, the entire distance for lot 239, 1.2 prior to certification of occupancy. Add the following plan, that should be for both lots, right? Marsha?
For the, I want to say it was just one of them.
They both have to meet the grade, but
Yeah, they both have to meet the grade, but there was one of them that had more of an issue than the other, 1.2.
okay. Add the following plan revisions, correct the zoning designation to town center. 4.1.3, neck must be owned equally per zoning ordinance. A common driveway maintenance agreement must be recorded at Stratford County Registry of Deeds prior to the sale of any lots. Proper and complete survey monumentation shall be installed on the properties as a condition of final approval of the application. Granite bounds shall be set at the intersection of existing or proposed lot sidelines with existing proposed streets. Iron pins, pipe or rod are to be placed at all property line corners and angles and all points of curvature and points of tangency. Monuments for the lot being developed shall be placed not more than 300 feet apart in any straight line. The applicant's survey shall certify in writing that the bounds and pins have been installed according to the submitted plan. Reference 8.8 of the Town of Barrington subdivision regulations. Any outstanding fee shall be paid to the town. Final drawings, 5 sets of black line plus 1 set of 11 by 17 final approved plans must be on file with the town. Each individual sheet and every set of drawings must be stamped and signed by the land surveyor, engineer, or architect responsible for the plans. If there are significant changes to be made to the plans as specified above, 1 full-size check print must be sent to the land use office for a review prior to producing these final drawings. General and subsequent conditions. In accordance with RSA 674-39, active and substantial development shall mean the expenditure of 25% of the infrastructure cost required for development as indicated by a subdivision approved by the planning board. Within 24 months of said approval, where approved plans have been properly recorded at the registry of deeds, infrastructure shall mean, in this instance, the construction of roads, storm drains, water and sewer facilities, or parking lots. Compliance with this definition shall also necessitate that a bond or other security to cover costs of said infrastructure requirements has been posted with the town prior to the beginning of construction, if required as a condition of approval. Current use, subject property, or a portion of its presently in current use, the applicant must provide the town of Barrington Assessment Department current use map and or other items needed to assure requirements of RSA 79A and the New Hampshire Department of Revenue Administration are
Those
satisfied.
are standard notes I wanted everyone to realize.
Yep.
Okay, 1 and 2 are standard notes. And I have another thing I just want to, Garvey, this plan, may need, before it's recordable at the Registry of Deeds, may need some refining. I can't say for sure, but there's an awful lot of lines on it and they don't necessarily take the ones with topography all over. So just a heads up on that.
I seem to recall that if a driveway has 4 houses served by it, suddenly some things change. So since this is 3 lots on 1 driveway, perhaps Jeff or someone, 2.
Just
Oh,
2.
No, it's only 2 on one driveway because the other lot 1 up front, that's where the business is, that has its own drive. So there's only 2 on one driveway.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
You know, I was looking through the regulations, and going back to what that Marcia Gass has said before about we're approving this based on the easement, obviously being utilized for both lots. That's an issue that has to be resolved outside of this forum. However, I will just note that if that does not get resolved in a manner in favor of the applicant, and they have to come back and try to establish driveways, you know, through the area of the 2 extensions onto the road, there's no guarantee that that will get approved. So there is a risk, and I just want the applicant to be aware of that.
All right, any other questions? Hearing none, the motion is in order.
Well, let me just review that again. So given the size of each of these lots, there is, at least in theory, some potential for further subdivision. So if there were more lots created, at what point would the driveway have to be different? What is the 4 lot change for driveway requirements?
If they were to turn 2 lots into 4, then they would have to build that road back in there to town standards.
Class 5. Okay.
It's my understanding there's no potential for future development, but a future board may see it differently. Zoning regulations may change. They may come in from the other side after the Christmas dove development expands. Who knows?
Jamie, what's your basis for the not believing there's further development potential?
Frontage requirements. I mean, based on current zoning, it was only split, and it was 1 lot, and we had this argument previously that it wasn't necessarily a pork chop subdivision because they have frontage. It's just.
Well, remember, they originally did ask to split this into 3 lots, and the ZBA said, no, you can only split it into 2 lots.
2 lots would be consistent with the backlot ordinance.
Right. So. Do we have a volunteer for a motion?
Well, I guess we're just going to stare at the screen if we don't. So I will make a motion to approve application 29-1.1-TC-21-2 sub.
Motion by Jeff Brand. Seconded by James Jennison. Roll call. Pardon me? Just back feed. Donna Masucci.
Masucci, aye.
Buddy Hackett.
Hackett, aye.
Candace Granz.
Grants, aye.
Andy Knapp.
Nay.
Steve Diamond.
Nay.
Jeff Brand.
Aye.
James Jennison, aye. We have 5-2. Motion passes. Subdivision is granted. Best of luck to you, Mr. Garvey, and
Thank
you as well, Candace Harvey. Hope it all works out for everybody. Next up, we have number 6, Anderson Properties, 22029 RC21. Request by applicant for site review to construct a 1,200 square foot garage. Regional commercial. Who do we have here presenting for that?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the planning board, Scott Lawler from Norway Plains, and I'm representing Anderson Properties LLC on this proposed site plan.
Welcome. I'm trying to just sort out my stuff here.
Scott, do you have the plan to bring up?
Yes, if the chairman would allow, I can share my screen and bring the plan up.
Please do.
Thank you. If somebody could let me know if you can see a colored plan on my screen.
I can.
Okay, great, thank you.
Is there anyone that can't?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did spend better part of another presentation and nobody could see anything I was trying to demonstrate. So thank you. On behalf of Anderson Welding and Anderson Properties LLC, we're here tonight seeking site plan approval for the construction of a 1,200 square foot garage structure to be as part of an amendment, to an approved site plan for their facility located at Colonial Way. This is tax map 220, it's lot 29. It's located in the regional commercial district in the Stratford Drift Aquifer Overlay. We presented this plan in front of the planning board about a year ago for the construction of a 6,000 square foot welding and fabrication building and proposed site improvements. And the applicant, Anderson Welding, is majority of the way through site construction on the facility. And as they're getting on site and sort of feeling their way out, they have come to the rationale that they are going to need some additional storage of materials outside of their main building and office space. So we've depicted on the plan here a proposed 30 by 40 garage, and that garage would be constructed in the area that's currently proposed to be asphalted pavement or gravel, hard packed gravel. We've depicted 2 additional parking spaces located by the garage down in the lower corner here, as the garage would require 2 spaces for storage. There's essentially no other changes to the proposed site plan. Again, the garage is going to be constructed in an area that was previously approved to be impervious. The grading is such that there's no change in it. All the stormwater would essentially be treated the same way it was previously designed. There's no increase in impervious coverage, and which results in no changes to the stormwater management system. This proposed garage will not be connected to the water or sewer or septic. We'll have underground conduits running to it for power, and generally will be cold storage. There's no changes to the proposed lighting on the site plan. All the lights, as previously designed, will maintain their locations. And there are no other proposed site changes as part of this. Because it's a modification to an existing site that's currently under construction, we did request the board if you would be willing to grant waivers to existing features, because essentially existing features is moving target as it's still under construction. And we've also respectively asked this board to grant a waiver to requiring a full drainage analysis. Again, it's as an engineer who designed the site, I can stipulate that there's no increase in the stormwater management runoff, changes to the impervious coverage that would warrant an amended stormwater analysis. One question that came up very recently had regards to a 50-foot buffer, residential buffer, excuse me, 50-foot residential buffer. This lot of record went through a lot line revision a couple months after the site plan was approved. And this plan depicts the new lot line, which is here. So this is the Anderson property, and the remaining of the backland was conveyed to lot line revision with the Mr. Walker. This is the plan that was presented to the planning board and was approved by the planning board. So the Anderson weldings in the light blue and the Walkers are in the green. And we did note on this plan a 50-foot residential buffer on the Anderson property and a 30-foot buffer on the on Mr. Walker's property. So
Scott, can I stop you just a second?
Absolutely.
You're talking about a wetland buffer here, not a residential. So the 50-foot buffer that we would be concerned with that arose out of the lot line adjustment was the 50-foot wetland buffer. So that's the one that I was concerned to make sure that the structure, the new structure, fits within that 50-foot buffer.
Okay. So, thank you, Barbara, or excuse me, Marcy. So I've quickly shifted the plan back to what was presented in the application to the planning board. My apologies to the board for confusion here, as Marcia and I were doing some last minute emails this afternoon, and I misunderstood when she was referring to a 50-foot residential buffer and not the 30-foot building setback. So the plan that was presented in our application is what I have on my screen. Again, the same 30 by 40 structure located in the area that's impervious, and all the grading and drainage and everything does not change.
So it's outside the 50-foot wetland buffer then?
That is correct. I have depicted the 50-foot wetland buffer in red from the wetlands here. And this is greater than 50 feet because it's 30 feet to the property, and that's greater than 50 feet. And again, we're 50 feet away from the wetland on the bottom here.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Scott, what is that inverted triangle just to the right of the proposed garage?
That is a contour line. So it's basically funneling the stormwater from the impervious surfaces to the low point, and then it funnels down through here and into the treatment swale.
So that's topography that you have or will be changing to create.
That's correct.
All right, does any, does the board have any questions in regards to the application?
It's me, Jamie, I do.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. So the first question I have is with the location and the placement of the garage, looking back at the original plan, this is right in the proposed snow storage area. So what's the plan to address that now? Because that was part of the original plan.
So we do, Mr. Camp, we still have a considerable amount of area over here for snow storage. And we do not envision that it'll be a problem with maintaining that snow storage.
Okay, my other question was, looking at the original plan, it was assessed at 50% site coverage, and you're asking from relief for doing what was it up? I'm sorry, my brain is
As built?
no. There was from existing landscape and natural features, but the original site was looking at 50% coverage, but that was prior to the lot line adjustment. So what's the new site coverage with the lot line adjustment?
I don't have that answer in front of me, but looking at the page, I can speculate with confidence that it's still less than 50% of the 4.1 acre parcel. Just geographically, we've got a large area up here, and we have large area down here. All of this in the light green is all lawn area. So just the gray and the two sort of orange and pink colors are your impervious coverage. So I feel confident that we are still well under the 50% impervious coverage, lot coverage.
Yeah, it's tough to tell looking at the original plan that it just says the maximum lot coverage, and it looks like equal to 50%. It doesn't look like less than, but
okay.
That was based on the original plan set, obviously trying to look at it on a computer.
Yeah, the chart that you're referring to for maximum lot coverage was not, I don't think was what was existing or what was being proposed, but just that the ordinance says the maximum lot coverage is 50%. It's not that we are still considerably less than 50%.
Okay.
How do we know this if we don't have a calculation?
I can provide you one before the night's over, but
Yeah, I guess it's relative, seeing as you changed lot lines and added structure, so I guess it's relative at this point now. Andy, do you have another question?
No, that was it for right now.
Jeff?
Yeah, I got a question. In looking at the plans, so if you go over to sheet A1, Alpha 1. All right, this says that you, well, first off, and I think I made this comment on the original building plans, is you haven't added the lighting. You talk about it in the narrative, but lighting is required to be on the plans and showing where they shine on the elevation view. But the question I was starting out with is, you see that it shows that there is a walk-in door on the west side view, and there is none on the east side view. Now, if you go back up to the plan that you originally started with. So if you zoom in on that, that would seem to show that the front of the building, yeah, there's the entry door right there. And if you go up to the compass arrow, why isn't that east and not the west side?
Yeah, so apparently there is an issue with our plan describing the east and west. But I think the drafts person was thinking it was the other way around, and that's an error. We can correct that on the plans. And there's no proposed lights on this building, so that's why there are none shown on the building.
Whoa. All right, if somebody else got a question, but I want to go back and look because I thought I read something. I may have been mistaken. We got a lot of applications. Could have been someone else's. Yeah, I just found it on the submittal. It says no additional lights are proposed on the garage. So forget that question. But the plans need to be straightened out with respect to the doorways.
Understood. Thank you.
There is one light shown on the plan.
Right, and it does say, it's the typo, it says, the site is illuminated by 2 pole mounted lights and 3 wall mounted lights. Lights are proposed for the garage. And then it followed by the dumpster will be located between the parking lot and detention basin. So it does say that there is lights proposed for the garage, and
So I did read it right to begin with.
I think so.
I'm reading, pardon me, Mr. Chairman, but I'm reading my own narrative, and it says no additional lights are proposed on the garage.
Okay, it's a punctuation error on our side. It says
Okay.
on addition instead of no additional. And
Yeah,
then it's
okay.
a period, and then there's a period. So it was a punctuation.
Sorry.
That's okay.
By the way, with respect to Mr. Knapp's question, is that it does say that your dumpster pad will be located between the parking lot and the detention basin. But that's the same area you were discussing about. That's going to be for where the snow will be piled. So does it still leave sufficient room with the dumpster in that location?
Yes.
And I guess your question of the lighting, it says there's no additional lighting, but does it need a lighting? I mean, do we need to meet illumination requirements for site plan?
There is a building mounted light on the southern end of the existing building, which should provide ample illuminations for the paved area that's in between the 2 structures. And there's an existing light pole just to the east of the proposed garage by the new 2 parking spaces. And so that'll continue to illuminate that portion of the parking lot.
The east or the west? Because I thought there was a proposed light on the left-hand corner, kind of close to the left-hand corner of that garage. Like,
right.
Yeah, right over
there. That would be east of the proposed garage. And then there's a light here on the existing building and another light pole here. So between those 3, we get illumination in this area.
In reviewing the original approval for the site plan, it appeared that it did meet the requirements for illumination.
All right. Any other questions? we can accept this application.
One other little comment. If I read this correctly, it looks like the garage is going to have very little roof pitch. I always have some concern around snow loading with very slightly pitched roofs.
Duly noted. We'll let the applicant know when they go for the building permit that they'll check on that.
All right. Do we prepared to offer a motion to accept? Ooh, we got Buddy has his hand up. I'm sorry. Buddy, go ahead.
Just one quick question. If we're looking at the proposed garage and we look straight down where he's saying he's going to have his dumpster there, is there any challenge to moving the dumpster up to where the P203.20 mark is, that side, so it's not in the way of the snow area for snow piling? Or it just seems like that's going to be something that's going to be in the way and a challenge when it comes to winter time.
Yeah, the stormwater management, Buddy, is to direct all the stormwater down this V to the 2036, then into the swale to 2032, and then it curls around into the detention basin. So placing the dumpster in this location would be counterproductive to the stormwater management system. So I think it'll go here. And, you know, it's not that large of an area for plowing and storm maintenance. I'm sure they'll figure out where they can place it such that it doesn't impede emergency vehicles and still allows them to go through their operations.
Okay.
All right. If there's no further questions, a motion to on the application, if we could.
Shouldn't we address the waivers first?
My next comment was you could either, in this case, because I mean, some of them are submittal, some of them are borderline submittal. You could accept it as complete, then address the waivers also. Yeah. But definitely need to address the waivers.
If we can do them first. I don't have an issue with that. If no one else does, we can look at waiver 1, Article 3, Section 3, existing man-made features, existing landscape and natural features, and building and structures.
And I understand what March just said, so we could go either way. It just seems like these waivers apply to the submittal. So if we grant those waivers, I just think from a logic standpoint, it's easier then to accept the application as complete.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, I make a motion to waive Article 3, Section 3.3 for subsections 16, 17, and 21 for application 220-29-RC-21-SR as specific circumstances relative to the, well, this is actually a site application, right? The site plan or conditions of the land in such such site plan indicate that the waiver will properly carry out the spirit and intent of the regulations.
I second that.
Motion by Jeff Brand, seconded by Steve Diamond. Donna Masucci,
Masucci, aye.
Buddy Hackett,
Hackett, aye.
Candace Kranz,
Franz, aye.
Andy Knapp,
Nap aye.
Steve Diamond,
Diamond, aye.
Jeff Brand,
Brian, aye.
James Jennison, aye. Motion carries. Waiver for Article 3 is granted. Next,
Did we? Yeah. Okay. The only thing is, did we need to open it up for public comment?
Not before we accept the application is complete, I don't believe. Pardon me?
You're correct, because you're being treated as submittal items, you're all set. Yeah.
Moving on, waiver of Article 4, Section 7, an in-depth analysis of the proposed drainage system on the parcel. As we discussed, it was recently done and carried out by the same engineer.
All right, I'll make a motion to waive Article 4, Section 7 for in-depth analysis, the proposed drainage system for application 220-29-RC-21-SR as the specific circumstances relative to the site plan or conditions of the land in such site plan indicate the waiver will properly carry out the spirit and intent of the regulations.
Second that.
Motion by Jeff Brand, seconded by, I didn't recognize the voice.
It's Donna.
Donna, all right. Donna Masucci,
Masucci, aye.
Buddy Hackett,
Hackett, aye.
Candace Kranz,
Hands aye.
Andy Knapp,
Nap aye.
Steve Diamond,
Diamond eye.
Jeff Brand,
Brand, aye.
James Jennison, aye. Motion carries. Waiver for Article 4, Section 7 is granted. Moving on to application, accepting the application is complete.
Public comment first.
Oh, no, yes, no, no.
No, you. We accept the application is complete and then we'll do public comment.
I make a
I
motion.
make a, go ahead, Steve.
I make a motion that we accept this application as complete.
I second.
Motion by Steve Diamond, a second by Jeff Brand. Donna Masucci,
Masucci, aye.
Buddy Hackett,
Hackett, aye.
Candace Kranz,
Kranz aye.
Andy Knapp,
Nap aye.
Steve Diamond,
Aye.
Jeff Brand,
Brand, aye.
James Jennison, aye. Motion carries. Application is accepted as complete. Does the board have any other comments about this application? We'll take this opportunity to open up public comment. If anybody has a question, they can raise their hand, speak out, type into the conversation. Star 6 to unmute if you're on.
You didn't do one, did you? I didn't get it.
I don't have one.
I don't have one.
Hearing none, I'll close the public comment.
If I could ask again, that
Barbara, you're
people
on.
that aren't talking, if people are not talking, if they could mute their mics, that would be appreciated. I wasn't talking to you, Jamie.
No, I know. I'm assuming Marsha and Barbara are talking about a draft notice of decision, which I do not have.
Neither do I.
So. In the event,
Believe it would be appropriate to continue to the next meeting to wrap everything up, make the changes, but let me just go in. There's the decision, I'm sure.
That would seem appropriate. Continue it to the next meeting and address the notice of decision then.
Correct, because there were, you had the, with the buffer. See if I did one. I'm pretty sure I did one.
I'm looking to.
Oh, okay.
Scott has a question.
Sure.
128.
go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the board's patience, especially with my bit of confusion at the beginning. However, from what I've heard to this extent, the only plan change it needs to be is the correction of an east and west on the elevation view. In my humble opinion, that's a rather minor change that could be made as a condition of the approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
I found it, Marcia. I'm gonna,
Okay, I knew I did one.
You want to email it to me, Barbara, and I'll read
I
it?
sure am.
All right, let me see if I can work this computer.
Everyone should have it now.
Oops, okay, so I'm not open.
Marcia, I'll give you a copy.
Oh, that's all right, I gotta open.
All right. Does the board have any questions before I start reading?
Mine's spinning.
And we had no public comment, is that correct?
That is, we opened public comment, but we had none. All right. Dear applicant, this is to inform you that the Barrington Planning Board has conditionally approved your application referenced above. All the precedent conditions below must be met by the applicant at the expense of the applicant prior to the plans being certified by the planning board. Certification of the plans is required prior to the commencement of any site work or recording of any plans. Once these precedent conditions are met and the plans are certified, the approval is considered final. Please note, if all of the precedent conditions are not met within 6 calendar months of the day, the board's approval will be considered to have lapsed unless a mutually agreeable extension has been granted by the board. Conditions precedent. Add the following plan notes. Applicant's engineer will sign off that stormwater facilities were constructed as approved. Waivers were granted for Article 4, Section 7, an in-depth analysis of proposed drainage of the parcel. Waiver was granted for Article 3, Section 3.3, existing man-made features, existing landscape and natural features and structures. Revise the following plan notes. We'll add in there, I think, the east-west confusion. Note number page. Add any outstanding fees shall be paid to the town. Prior to obtaining board signature, the applicant shall submit 3 complete paper print plan sets and supporting documents as required in Article 3 with a letter explaining how the applicant addresses the conditions of approval. They shall include final and complete reports for all items submitted during review for the town of Barrington's file. The chairman shall endorse 3 copies of the approved plans, meeting the conditions of approval upon receipt of an executed bond for all improvements, excluding buildings. The town shall retain a signed and approved reproducible 11 by 17 in PDF format with supporting documents for the town records. General and subsequent conditions where no active and substantial work required under this approval has commenced upon the site within 2 years from the date the plan is signed, this approval shall expire. An extension not to exceed 1 year may be granted by a majority vote of the board so long as it is applied for at least 30 days prior to the expiration date. The board may grant only one such extension for any proposed site plan. All other plans must be submitted to the board for review to ensure compliance with these and other town ordinances. Active and substantial work is defined in this section as being the expenditure of at least 25% of the infrastructure improvements required under this approval. Infrastructure shall mean in this instance the construction of roads, storm drains, and improvements indicated on the site plan, RSA 674-39. All right, was there anything to add that was missed?
No, I guess my initial reaction was a little because the change in the plans, but we're all aware that the plans have changed a little bit because of the wetland buffer and that the new plans will be revised accordingly.
Okay.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, the plans that were submitted all met the 50-foot wetland buffer it was the plan I started to present this evening that created the confusion. So the plans that have been submitted all meet the 50-foot buffer.
Show the new 50-foot buffer rather.
Yeah, I would say that I have the plans here in my hands and it does show wetland, 50-foot wetland buffer, so.
Okay.
Correct. Yep. We were just talking on the wrong page at that point. Very good. All right. Does the board have any other questions? If none, a motion is in order.
I make a motion to approve application 220-29-RC-21-SR.
I second that.
Motion by Jeff Brand, seconded by Donna Masucci. Donna Masucci,
Suchi, aye.
Buddy Hackett,
Hackett, aye.
Candace Kranz,
Kranz, aye.
Andy Knapp,
Nap aye.
Steve Diamond,
Diamond eye.
Jeff Brand,
Brand, aye.
James Jennison, aye. Motion carries. Congratulations. Best of luck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and the planning staff, and Marcia. Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a great night. Thank you as well. All right.
Private road.
We got one of our favorites here. Request for a building permit.
Mark wrote a considerable amount on this one.
I have no comment.
Micah Point's a pretty decent road, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's like a regular street, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been down in years, but
Not really.
All right.
I mean, it's convoluted. It's paved, but it's really convoluted. I wouldn't want to drive a fire truck down there.
Well, I'll say down to the point where it joins, what is it, Shady Lane? It's good from the entrance point down there. Then when it splits off, the loop up around, that's all paved, that development. And then you're down towards the lake. Yeah, it goes downhill from there. Literally and figuratively.
I think we gotta get Steve to volunteer as a fire truck driver. All right. If there's
Either
no
that, either that, or we get one of those fire trucks that the clowns have in the circus, and then it could be able to maneuver around all the different roads.
Oh, those city ones with the front and the back turns. All right. If there's no comments relative to this, we'll vote in favor of sending the memo included in our packet. I make a motion to send the memo in the packet.
I second.
To the motion by Jeff Brand, James Jennison, seconded by Jeff Brand, Donna Masucci,
Suchi, aye.
Buddy Hackett,
Hackett, aye.
Candace Kranz,
Kranz, aye.
Andy Knapp.
Nap abstain because you're sending it to me.
Very well. Steve Diamond,
Diamond eye.
Jeff Brand,
Brand, aye.
James Jennison, aye. Motion carries. Memo sent to select board.
Jamie, I have one thing. Because of the whole COVID and remote thing, maybe just to be safe, we should take a vote on the fees for that applicant.
All right.
I think that's after
All right. I will make a motion to not return application fees to said applicant. I'll be the bad guy.
I second that.
Motion by James Jennison, seconded by Steve Diamond, Donna Masucci,
Aye.
Buddy Hackett,
Hackett, aye.
Candace Kranz,
Kranz, aye.
Andy Knapp,
Nap aye.
Steve Diamond,
Diamond eye.
Jeff Brand,
Brand, aye.
James Jennison, aye. Motion carries.
Thanks.
All right. Reports from other committees and unfinished business. Don't let me forget these. Do we have anything, Marcia?
Not at the moment. We are seeing our second meeting of the month this month, and then remember, we only have one meeting in July as of right now. And it is on the third.
20th.
Yep, Thursday. Yeah,
Okay,
get a break.
so, so no second meeting this month?
Yes.
Yes.
Say that
One in
again.
July.
What? Now you've got
We
me.
have a meeting on the 15th.
We do have a meeting on the 15th. All right.
Yes,
Where
we
did
have
I
that.
read July, we weren't having any. Where did I read
No,
that?
July, one meeting, and it'll be the 20th.
On the 20th.
Yep.
And what about this in-person meetings going up, might be happening?
Who knows?
We're still waiting to hear definitively. I know that governor's order will be over. So
We'll have to. All right, let's circle back to that, so I don't forget the minutes from May 18th. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or corrections?
Yes, I have a question and a comment. So in reading the minutes, I was trying to understand what happened with the auto repair and inspection, because it looks like the person turned in an application. And then, there was the minutes described, there was a discussion on this, but then towards the end of it, it said, well, the applicant's going to have to come in with Marcia explaining that it would be to move to full application. That's what the next step. So I was trying to figure out from reading this, if you can enlighten me on what happened, because it looked like he put in an application. So
he did not. It was just a discussion. He filled out the first page. Yeah, it was just a discussion.
okay,
Yeah, I
so
don't think he quite understood the process, Jeff, and so the discussion was what he would need to do if it was feasible. And
Okay.
really, he's looking to start a home business.
Yeah.
Repair.
Yeah, I saw that. I was just trying to understand because I had a project application and it has a case number on it, but then when I'm reading the minutes, it says he's got to submit a full application. So because it had been assigned a case number, I thought that he had submitted a formal application.
Jeff, I can answer that. We have to have some kind of, I guess I'd say an application number to be able to put it on the website. We have to link it, and without that, but it was just a discussion.
Okay.
We always have them make out the project application so we have something to go back on with all their information.
All right, but he wasn't formally submitting it. This was basically conceptual or a review?
Just a discussion, not even that.
Okay. Okay, I got it. And now my comment is something on line 183 of the minutes.
Oh, thank you.
Doesn't read right.
I brought up in discussion, Jeff, that I would like to change gas stations and drugstores to the not permitted category. I think that we have a sufficient number of gas stations and,
Okay.
and I would.
Okay. So when you say about changes the uses to gas stations, just the way it's worded.
Yeah.
That's my English.
That's my poor English?
No, mine.
Well, what zone are you talking about period across town or just in a specific zone?
Everywhere. Under the approved uses in whatever zone they are, they're only approved in commercial, the commercial whatever.
Well, I don't know that you can prohibit them. You could say they got to get a conditional use permit.
There's other things that are not permitted. There's a not permitted.
That's true, but in a commercial or industrial zone, I don't know.
I don't believe there's anything that says that we can't not permit it. There's a couple pieces of property for sale in that area, and the potential of, I mean, I'd like to go another step further and I had said about no chains, but Marcia is insisting that I can't put no chains in there. But I would be remiss if tomorrow we have to approve another gas station 5 minutes down the road. It would be, I will pull the old, go out and get the thing signed by 100 people to make it immediately not permitted.
Well, I mean, it also depends on where it is. You're talking about Route 9 and 125, but what if it was over on the other end of town? It was over, by Northwood.
My personal feeling as a resident that I think you can plan your gas trips accordingly and gas up outside of our borders.
All right, but we have to do what's right for everybody in town.
So when a Barrington resident comes forth and asks to put in a gas station on their property, I would consider it. But I don't think any resident of Barrington is going to put a gas station on their property. It's going to be an outside entity that does not care about this town and just wants to put in a gas station. So I don't know as though we're doing right by anybody. I mean, I know there's people in town that want a drugstore downtown too, but I volunteered to give them a ride to Lee or Rochester, whichever they prefer, just because I don't think we need a drugstore.
Well, there's a lot of supposition and assumptions that are inherent in all that. So you're
Motion
simply
to approve the minutes?
The gas station, we already have some limitations in the zoning ordinance already, but.
All right, we have a motion to approve the minutes by Andy Knapp. I'll bring this back up. Seconded by Jeff Brand, Donna Masucci,
Masucci, aye.
Buddy Hackett,
Hackett, aye.
Candace Kranz,
Kranz, aye.
Andy Knapp,
Abstain, I wasn't at the last meeting.
Steve Diamond,
Abstain, I wasn't at the last meeting.
Oh, God, no, please.
Jeff Brand,
You weren't there, just don't change the word.
Jeff Brand, by looking at all the faces, I'm not the only one that's seeing this. James Jennison, aye. That's 4. That's enough to approve, and Jeff is frozen, so we'll approve the minutes as written.
frozen.
Oh, there you go.
That's children. They're frozen like 10 times a week. I'm not frozen. I voted up. I read this thing. I can vote.
We couldn't hear you. You're very robotic.
No, you did me. I know what happened.
Sounds like R2D2.
He doesn't think I'm trying to ignore him, does he? All right, what else? We missing anything?
Yes, one more thing. So if we do go back to in-person, which personally I'm opposed to, I would like to urge whoever would organize this, Andy and or Marcia, to make sure that there is wireless internet access available in the location that we are working in. That would be very helpful indeed, as opposed to trying to manage quite so much paper. I find it much easier to be able to get emails quickly, to be able to look at regulations, to be able to look at the documents in a simple fashion, and you can have a gateway that would isolate you very simply, a $50 piece of hardware, such that there would be no security concern.
Yeah, I believe there's an open access at the ECLC. It's just it never seems to work. So I think that's a valid point and something that should be addressed so that we can have a functioning board. I don't know who best to address that. Andy, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know if we'll be back at the ECLC. They're now using that classroom, it's my understanding. So I think we're going to be in the cafetorium is where at least the select board is going to be meeting. And I wouldn't be surprised if the planning board is at the same place. So is it, the cafetorium to me is the middle school.
Not the space outside of that classroom we're using?
It was before, Andy. We had that, I want to say, I don't want to call it bonus, multi-purpose room that we had meetings in.
Right.
ECL.
Regardless, is there a wireless access point that would be, if that's something we could, or Andy, I guess I don't know if that delegated to you as the appropriate place to put it, but
There is a password and I'm sure we can gain access to it. They've been pretty flexible about that with us.
Yeah. In the past, they kept changing it every day or once a week or something. I can't remember, but it was changed frequently, but that's something I agree, we need to have access.
is the select board meeting in person currently, Andy?
Not currently, but based on the notice that came out, today, we'll be starting the planning to meet in person.
And are your plans at the cafetorium, including any distancing or just back to normal? Just for members to.
I do not know because that has not been fully vetted at this point in time.
All right. Anything else? If anybody supports my changing of uses, I appreciate the support, and we'll yeah, I know we got a couple on there probably. So I know Marcia, if you can, I'll talk to you separately about appropriate timing to put those forward, but I think it's
But that's a zoning change.
yeah, right, worthy of discussion and putting up for a vote. Andy, M, that's a hand in support.
Oh, yeah, I support you definitely. 100%.
Great. All right. If there's nothing else, a motion to adjourn to June 15th.
I make a motion to adjourn to June 15th.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Andy Knapp. Donna Masucci.
Masucci, aye.
Where did my thing go? Buddy Hackett.
Hackett, aye.
Candace Crans.
Crans, aye.
Andy Knapp.
Nap aye.
Steve Diamond.
Diamond eye.
Jeff Fran.
Fran, aye.
James Jensen, aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night and see you in a couple weeks.
You too.